Yesterday's recording, I promised you I was going to show you the client dashboard. So here it is, guys. I've already logged in. Okay. I'm going to actually switch on the dark mode because that's how I prefer it. It's personal preference. You guys might like it another way. So I'm going to go to the dashboard now. And inside the dashboard, I want to show you guys how basically I create my portfolios and how I'm actually back testing portfolios, because this is a really powerful tool that I've built. As I've told you guys in the previous videos, I've built this entirely with AI, okay, with Claude code. That's exactly how I've built all this dashboard here. To some of you, it might seem familiar because design, it's modern, and I'm using components from Shadcn, but I'm also using CSS styling. Okay, so it's actually pretty simple. You can create a portfolio by simply giving it a name and a description, and then you're simply going to have it here, and you can add assets to the portfolio. Okay, there are about 4,000 assets right now that you can potentially add to the portfolio. So you can just type in here whatever, like Apple, let's say, for example. You're going to have it here directly. It's going to ask you actually how much you're actually going to pay for the actual stock. So it's not going to pick it up immediately. You have to input it yourself. So let's say, I don't know, I've purchased 1,000 of them. I've purchased 100 of them at the price of, let's say, $10. Purchase date, if you want to select it, and also the currency that you've purchased it in. You're going to be adding asset, and right now in the portfolio, which is called question mark, I can obviously rename it. Can call it P1, okay, as in it's portfolio 1. I can have multiple portfolios if I choose to do so. Maybe I want to do some for crypto. Maybe I want to do some for long-term investments. Maybe some are high cap, maybe some are mid cap, low cap, etc. Obviously, I can view what's inside the portfolio, but basically this is like the home page of all of your portfolio. So the math up here, it's based on all of the portfolios. So if I were to have 2-3 more portfolios here, let's actually create another one. So let's call it P2, create portfolio. Okay, now we're prompted directly to the subsequent portfolio page. Okay, we're in P2 right now. Of course, we can go back to the client dashboard and we can see it here. It's got nothing inside of it. But if we actually view it, there's nothing inside of it. We can add assets by clicking either of the buttons, which are more convenient to you. So let's say we want to create a crypto portfolio. So let's add some Ethereum in here. Not Ethereum Classic, Ethereum normal. Okay, there we go. So it's not picking it up because it's seeing actually both of them. Now it picked it up. So let's say like I've purchased, for example, I've purchased 75 Ethereum back in, when was it? I think it was 2017, right? So can go back to 2017. It was, I think, towards the end of the year. So let's say somewhere like October, middle of October. And I remember that the purchasing price that I purchased that was, I think, at about $125, if I'm not mistaken. Okay. So I'm going to be adding the asset. And now we're going to see that in portfolio P2, which we can potentially rename, call it crypto. Okay. So in the second portfolio right now, okay, we can see the profit that I've had, the current price, what I've initially invested in, and the quantity. Okay, so we can see the purchasing price, the quantity, current price, and the current value. Obviously, it's seeing the current value because, as I've said, there are about 4,000 symbols that are currently covered by this financial platform that I've built. We can, as we scroll down, we have graphic distributions, assets allocation, sector, performance, and currency distribution. Of course, you can add, I've created it for crypto, okay? But if I were to add, different types of stocks, different types of commodities maybe, or different types of ETFs, for example, because we can see here from the financial markets, we're also covering ETFs, and would be adding all of them in here, and we're going to be seeing the performance of each individual asset. We can filter, of course, by the period of time we want to see this portfolio's performance, if it's on a loss, on a profit, which ones are actually on a loss, which ones are on a profit, performances, asset types. So if you go, more assets, you can filter by that. So you can have a very granular perspective upon your portfolio, right? So if we're going to go back now, we're going to see that the math now changed, okay? And the main dashboard, we can see that the asset allocation, of course, of all of your portfolios, you've got most of it in crypto, some of it in stocks, right? You can see which is financial, which is technology based on the sector, geographic, of course, currency distribution. Currently, all of them are in dollars, and how my portfolio has been evolving over time. Okay, so this is basically the general overview, which you can see right here. So this is it in terms of creating portfolios, and this is really powerful because it helps you track what you're doing, and it's powerful in a sense of that. Sort of like Yahoo Finance, for example, where you can add multiple portfolios to your assets. This tool is similar, but it's just a lot more simpler. I find that Yahoo Finance is for really advanced users. So the reason I've built this whole financial news website and platform behind it with this sort of a software as a service in the back, okay? It's for beginner-friendly users that haven't used such tools before and can now, easily access portfolios and portfolio tracking, which is really powerful when you're starting your journey. Now, very powerful tool is the portfolio backtesting. So before you do any investments, before you want to analyze what potential investments could look like or could have looked like, the best thing you could potentially do, it's actually backtest and see, if you would have had this portfolio since, I don't know, 2020 or 2010 or 2001 or whatever period of time you want to test it on. I think this is really powerful. By the way, just down here I want to show you guys that you can switch between light or dark mode, so I'm gonna maintain my dark mode, but just so you know, it's down here. So let's say I would have had an initial investment of $1,000. Okay, monthly contribution, this is just like a standard, you're probably used to it if you've invested before and if you've used it. It's just like a standard compounding calculator. Okay, so let's say you've invested $1,000 and with a monthly contribution of $100. Okay, so which assets you want to actually test? I have a few here. I don't know. Let's take a random asset, but that we know it's got quite a long history. Let's take Amazon, for example. Okay, there it is, the ticker, Amazon. Asset allocation, of course, it's 100% because that's all I want to test right now. So let's say that I want to test this from 2010. Let's say I would have purchased $1,000 worth of stock since 2010 in Amazon with $100 per month contribution. Okay, this is optional, by the way. You can leave it to 0, but I'm just gonna add 100 so you guys see what it is. So I'm actually gonna take it till 2020. Okay, till the COVID month came. So let's say that 2020 crisis came, I would have needed the money, so I had to cash out, and I want to test it on this period of time. So I know that COVID was announced back in 2020 April, so I'm going to choose that. Let's choose the start, and I'm going to run the test. So we can see that our initial investment is 13.3, so it's 13,300, but why? Because of the monthly contributions, okay? Because otherwise it would have been just 1,000, but you've invested more and more over time. So, it's 10 years times 12 months, you get 120 months, probably a little bit more than that because you can see here's 10.3 years. That's why you have 3.3 thousand, so $3,300 on top because of your monthly contributions. So overall, if you would have kept this portfolio for 10 years, okay, you'd have had this sort of returns. Now, this is really powerful, okay? You can see the best day, worst day, in actual worth, what your portfolio is. Daily returns, you can actually see, good days, bad days, also the percentage return, okay? We can see here 6,500%, which is absolutely insane, okay? For 10 years, it's, it's actually insane, right? It's nearly 600% per year, which is incredible. Okay, we can see some key metrics here, like volatility, Sharpe ratio, average daily volumes, max drawdown. So you'd have been on a maximum of 25% out of your investment, which is, let's be serious, it's quite little. Okay, so we can backtest it like this. Of course, if I want to add more assets, I'm going to be adding whatever asset I'm thinking about. Let's say, I don't know, maybe I want to add something like Apple, because we know it's big and we know it's someone would have potentially, invested for such a long time, you'd invest in bigger companies, right? But let's maintain the $1,000 and the $100. Let's add another asset. Let's say we would have added to our portfolio NVIDIA as well. Okay, we search it by the ticker, NVDA. There we go. Okay, didn't pick it up the first time. There it is. So as you see, as you're adding assets, the allocation changes. Of course, you can change your allocations here. Let's say maybe you wanted to invest 60% in Amazon and, I don't know, 20% in Apple and then 20% in NVIDIA. You can, of course, do that. But I'll just leave it as that. So equal distribution for now, the same period of time. So let's see how these values change now. Okay, so we can actually see that the portfolio performed slightly better, okay, with a better return. So we've diversified our portfolio, but we can actually see slightly better results, okay? And obviously we can see here the portfolio allocation and the way it performed. We can see that the maximum drawdown is actually doubled. So we would have been on a bigger minus at one point in time. However, the overall return is bigger. So you can keep on adding assets, okay? Or you can delete assets, is not an issue. And the allocations will always maintain equal distribution unless you specifically want to change it. So, there are about 600 ETFs currently that are being tracked here. There's about 1,000 stocks combined in Europe. There's about 3,000 stocks from the US. So, overall, as I've said, and crypto, obviously, there's about 500 top cryptos that the platform's currently tracking. So you've got a wide array of symbols that you can potentially test and backtest. So this is it for today. This is what I wanted to present to you, the actual portfolio and how you can backtest, create, and have the overall dashboard to see how that's doing for you. In the next clips, I'm going to be describing what each section does. Really powerful tools like the comparative analysis, your AI assistant that actually has access to your portfolio and that you can potentially chat with it, okay? And you're gonna see here just a glimpse of what you can potentially do with this and how powerful it is. So no more copy pasting between different platforms and into ChatGPT. You actually have everything here. And this chatbot, it's powered by Claude. Okay, it's actually using Claude Sonnet, which is 4.0 Sonnet, and it's using Perplexity as well. So it's a really powerful chatbot that combines in terms of knowledge and web searching capabilities to provide you the absolute best answers. Okay, so this was just a glimpse into what the chatbot is actually going to do for you in this situation. So obviously we didn't discuss, but you can delete portfolios, you can confirm it, and then that's it. Your portfolio is gone, the values readjust, and obviously the chatbot is going to see exactly that as well. But more onto that subject, onto the next clips. I hope I'll see you in the next one. Be safe. Tschüss.